couple of shout outs. First of all, I would like to shout out all the people who got their signatures on the mayor's ballot for the city of Cleveland and everything else. Second of all, I would like to shout out our very own EP, the show host, Errol Porter, for his debut in Greenwood, the massacre. If you was not there at Truth, welcome. And if you was not there to look at it, it comes on PBS. If you was not there to look at the opening of that, it was like a play. Was it like a play? They just did that?
They filmed the stage play as a movie.
Oh, they filmed the play as a movie.
Yeah, so it's actually, you can watch it. It's streaming on the Caribou House website.
Okay.
So you can go there and sign up. You got to press and get tickets, but they're free.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to get your information so they can be on the mailing list.
Right.
So you go to the website, put your information in, click, and then you get an email for a link to watch it.
Okay. So the thing about Greenwood is talking about the Tulsa massacre or like Black Wall Street and how independent black cities were destroyed by white mobs because of lies and BS. So Juneteenth is a celebration of the last slaves that were freed. So you can still celebrate the 4th of July, but, everybody, now Juneteenth, President Joe Biden signed it in as a national holiday. So all the government workers got off, but we still don't have the John Lewis Freedom Law or the George Floyd lynching law or policing law still not signed in yet. So, we can celebrate Juneteenth, but there's a bigger battle of pretty much racial injustice. In Greenwood, the massacre proved that we still, we came a long way from destroying. It was not the only black town that was destroyed. There was some other ones as well all across the country. Rosewood, just to name a few, and they made a movie about that. So, it'll make you sad, it'll make you, mad. It'll make you do a lot of stuff. So, shout out to everybody, all the cast. Now, we have it. Speaking of Juneteenth, there's a couple of good things going on tonight. Of course, have shout out to Arrogant Warren for having his thing at the Chukutta Bar over there in Warrensville. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Also, there's a revival tonight at Sure House Baptist Church, sponsored by Pastor Aaron Phillips and Cedric Veal. Pastor Veal will be speaking from Temple Baptist Church tonight at the revival. I'll be there. And plus, there's a whole bunch of Juneteenth celebrations tomorrow. And happy Father's Day happy early Father's Day to all the fathers out there, the real fathers that, pay their child support and do all the stuff that they supposed to be doing. So happy Father's Day and everybody. So everybody, happy Father's Day. Every man that is taking care of his business, happy Father's Day to you. Early Father's Day, that's on June 20th. And of course, we're going to be getting the ties and have the barbecue, but, it's all well worth it. EP, my guest is here. He's going to talk about, he's going to have a book signing, and we need to bring him in. This young man called me last night as I was shout out to I Am Piranha for getting me my Juneteenth shirt. She's going to have an open in her boutique anyway. Always support your own. So this is what we're doing right now. Getting away from the political stuff that I usually do. So, EP, did you? All right. So bring up the instrumental, please. We're waiting. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. So we got to bring him in properly because he deserves it. He got a couple of books over there. So we're going to talk. He's going to talk about the latest one he wrote and what's going to go down. So the reason why I'm bringing in him on Hypnotized by the late, great Notorious B.I.G. because his books have hypnotized and educated, ever since he started writing. Please welcome my guest in the house. By the way, this is sponsored by the Committee to Elect Joe Jones, the Committee to Ward 1, to the Committee to Elect Wayne McGee, Ward 1, Ward 12, and the Adams Board and Ohio City Barbecue. Please welcome my man, Tito M. Bradley, author. Tito M. Bradley in the house. How are you, sir?
Oh, got me rocking today. Well, yourself?
I'm fine. You got a couple of books over there. Let me see.
Five.
Okay, okay, so Before we talk about the latest one, what's the first one you got over there?
The very first book is We Got Issues, a conversation about black love and relationship.
Uh-huh.
That was released in 2008.
Uh-huh.
That was my very first book.
Okay.
Second book, and this was a pretty much like a self-help book.
Right.
Relationship reflection. After that, I jumped into the novel. Started with an urban fiction bait and switch based in Cleveland. Everything that happens in the book happens in Cleveland. Did very well. 2013
Okay.
is when I released that. 2016, I switched lanes and jumped to a suspense thriller, also based in Cleveland. It's called Reciprocation. It's about a serial killer that can't be profiled. So something definitely different. Then in 2018, I made another hard left and stepped into the world of erotica, and came out with Blue Euphoria 2018.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got into some erotic. While I was writing Blue Euphoria, I got a call from an author friend of mine who was writing an anthology and asked me to write a story. And I wrote a story. And by humbug, it's actually 7 authors. Another author from Cleveland also has a story, C.J. Hudson. I don't know if you're familiar with
Okay,
him.
yeah, I am a little bit.
Yeah, he has a story in there as well. So I have a story in there for other books, and now we have The Vault.
Okay, so this is the latest book that you wrote,
This
correct?
is the latest book that I wrote.
What is The Vault about?
The Vault is actually 4 short stories,
Really?
and they're 4 completely different genres, unrelated. And it came from actually writing all my other books, doing other book signings, and actually being part of an anthology. I like to write different things. I don't like to write the same kind of books over and over. I like to jump around with genres. And a few people, when they came to the table, I said, I write this, I write that. And they were kind of like, I don't know if I want to buy this one or that one. Do I want to buy the suspense thriller or the erotic one? And so that gave me an idea to write multiple stories in one book with different genres. I looked it up, and it hasn't been done. I couldn't find it. Most of the anthologies are different stories, but it's of the same genre. So, I took a leap of faith in 2019. I said, I'm gonna write an anthology myself, all by myself. Write, 4 different stories, 4 different genres, and this is the finished result.
Okay. So what? So you wrote, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books?
Yeah, this is book number 5.
Book 5. What made you start writing?
Well, the very first book, We Got Issue, came from way of a card game. Some friends and family were, playing cards, joking around, and talking about relationships, and how that turned into the finger pointing game. And all women do this, and all men is men fault, and blah 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 blah. So in the middle of conversation, all that. The conversation was fruitless. We were so busy trying to prove who was right and who was wrong, right?
Right.
So, I figure, when you write a book, you can't argue with the words when you're reading.
Right.
So, I took to it. I had never done anything like this before. Of course, when I started, it's 2004, when the idea popped in my head.
Okay.
So started writing it by hand. Even to this day, believe it or not, I can't type.
Really?
Nah, I can't.
You just wrote it by hand, and
Well, the first one I did write by hand, but now I actually use a computer, but I can't do the, look away and type without looking. I'm still henpecking. I don't go from the home row. I'm not a professional.
Right. So you just it takes a little bit more longer. Or
I'm actually pretty proficient, but it's not I know there's a way you're supposed to hold your hand and on these keys and strike like this. It don't go that way.
Right. Exactly. So, all right. Excuse me. Public service announcement. Just a shout out to Sam Steele on my Facebook Live. Got to interrupt this for a second. Breaking news: because of the fight at Pinecrest last night with the teenagers, there are no more free movie nights at Pinecrest over there in Orange. So no more free. EP, get your cousins.
They had a big fight. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we had a big fight last night.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
So let's. I'm gonna expand on that after the first break. So, you wrote the We Got Issues book
Right.
about pretty much relationships.
Right.
How was that well received when you first wrote it?
Actually, people loved it because the book is written in such a way that is no blame. The title is "We Got Issues," a conversation about black love and relationships.
Right.
So it's a conversation. It's not a he's right, she's wrong. And what I do is raise questions. And at the end of each chapter, there's questions to consider, and it's called roundtable discussion.
Right.
And what do you think about this? What do you think about that? How can we come together on this?
Right. Exactly.
And so when it was from a different angle, and people loved it because nobody felt attacked. A lot of topics were open, and people said, "Oh, I never thought about it like that."
Mm-hmm.
So the way I actually wrote it, I had some questions that I asked different people, the same questions. I asked some people who were married for years, the same questions I asked some people who just got married, some people who never wanted to get married. And one of the questions was, how were you prepared for marriage?
Mm.
And that question was answered so many different ways from different people in different areas of life.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Some
pretty
people were
much.
married 50 years, their answer was different than people who were dating.
Right.
Older people, younger people, in the middle, you know what I mean?
Right.
Some women answered, the question different. So I put all that in the pot like gumbo, and it came out very well.
So you was like, it was part Derek Jackson, part Kevin Samuels.
Well,
I had to throw that in there a little bit because they're both getting flack from black men and black women. So
Well, you know what? It always hurt. Don't nothing hurt like the truth. You know what I'm saying? And people only scream, only hit dogs holler.
Right.
So, but mine was well seasoned. Unlike, and I think that's to jump into that subject with Kevin Samuels, I think the delivery is worse than the actual medicine.
Right.
And that's where people get all,
to me it's like this. You don't this person's going to be rough on you and going to say this. Why even jump on there in the first place? It's like you.
You know how you do.
Right. You know what it is.
We all know. If you go to the military, there's going to be drill sergeants.
Right.
You know how this is going
Right.
to go. And if that's not for you, do not sign up.
Do not
now,
get in
you
there.
can go somewhere else and get in shape and have a coach and a fitness instructor. But, the Marines ain't it for you because they're not going to hold your hand. They don't want to hear it.
Right.
It's a different angle. So that's the difference. But they could both get you in shape.
Right, exactly.
If you want to get in shape.
If you want to get in shape.
Yeah, well, then
Some people don't want to get in shape.
Hoorah. Some
people like I like to you know what? I think some people just like to be toxic. That's the problem.
Yeah, well,
And you you got to stay away from that. So
yeah, absolutely.
So the vault. Let's get into because we can.
The vault.
Yes, into the vault because we can talk more about the other stuff. And you've been around I've seen you a couple of authors that I know. One of them is Ivy Lee.
I know her.
Shout out to her.
Yeah.
So you said there's 4 short stories in one, not related to each other, in one book.
Absolutely.
So what is the first short story about?
The very first short story is called Release Day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a guy in prison in Ohio.
Right.
And he has a parole date coming up for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Right before Christmas. But he has a dilemma. He has a gambling problem. So he got an issue in jail. He got a debt that he needs to pay.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to get parole, but his parole issue is he don't have nowhere to go. If anybody ever been in the system, they know before you get parole, you got to have a place to go. You got to, things got to be in place. And his mother saying, hey, the only way you can come back here if you start going back to church, and if you do this, he grew up very in a religious,
right.
And he don't want to do that.
Well,
the only other option you have is his sister, but his sister's husband is a felon, so he can't move there.
Right.
So he got to say, okay, do I want to tell my mom I'm going to, end up going back to church and blah, 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 or, I'm stuck here with this issue, these people I owe money to.
Right.
So the whole thing is, is he gonna make his release date?
Right.
And all the, the toils that go
All
on
the
in
toils.
correction. Yeah. In
Wow.
prison.
That's
That's the very first story, and that's urban fiction. I got them listed in the back. That's urban fiction. The very first one.
Okay. So so you're having a book release party for the vault. Where would that be at?
Nah, you butchered the name a little bit.
Okay. Go ahead and tell me.
Hey, I don't know either, so I'm gonna have to go with what you said.
Chikuka Bar?
Chikuka Bar. I'm assuming it's an African bar.
Yes, an African bar.
It's an African dine. They sell great food, great atmosphere. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, and that's horrible. But it's on Richmond Road. We can give you the address.
Right. Go ahead.
We give you the address when at the end of the show, but I'm not sure if we're pronouncing it correctly.
But there's a lot of and shout out to, that's why I said Arrogant, Carl and Arrogant Warren. Him and DJ Chicago have a duo set there. If you want to support an African American event before Juneteenth, then that would be the place to go. Go to the Revival first, then go up there to Chikuka Bar and support them because they're going to be rocking until like maybe 1 a.m.
Right. The address is 4620 Richmond Road.
46.
290.
4620 Richmond Road.
It's right beside. It was Enterprise up there.
Yeah, it's an Enterprise up there on Richmond Road, right near.
That's how we do it. Where's that, right? Where Enterprise is? Yeah, behind there.
Right,
Chikuka, right up there. Yeah,
right.
All the cars. This is.
And then the BJ. So when is the book release party?
July 2nd.
What time does it start?
Friday. Well, the doors open at 7. We're gonna be rolling from 7 to 1 a.m. Also, it's gonna be the Warrens. Their actually album release party, because due to COVID they were unable to perform their book. I mean their album.
Right.
So, and actually they're featured not only in this book but also in Blue Euphoria. So that's another thing. In my book, all of them are based in Cleveland.
So every book that you wrote is based in Cleveland. No outside, nothing. It's based in Cleveland.
Everything happens in Cleveland, and what I do is put real people, real businesses in all the books, and it brings the books to life. So in this book, actually the last story is Relationship Roller Coaster. They go out to eat. They go to Black Box Fix. They go to Frederick's. They go to different, places all around Cleveland, Zanzibar.
Right.
I mentioned comedians, rappers, artists all throughout the city that I run into, that I like and whatnot. And the Warrens, they're definitely a husband and wife team. They're phenomenal.
Right. So that they are very phenomenal. I gotta give a shout out to. I had Carlin and Kid on before, and they are very phenomenal. Very, very phenomenal. Now, you said that everything is in Cleveland. You got a couple of Cleveland comedians hosting this for you?
I have one comedian is Uncle Lou, and the other guy is a rapper.
What's his name?
His name is Semi.
Semi? Okay.
Yeah, Lou is a friend of mine. I put him in the book. He's coming up in the comedy side, and I was about a year or so ago. I was up and I seen this guy on Instagram. The video came through my feed, and I said, "Oh my God, this guy's good." You know what I mean? Rapper. So I inboxed him. I said, "Man, I'm really digging your sound. And his label is Cleveland is the label." And I said, "Hey man, I want to put you on one of my books." I didn't even have an idea how I was going to do it at the time. But I ended up working him in the book. He performed at the Garage Shop.
Right.
And actually, in the book, Uncle Lou, he performs at Frederick's Wine and Dine. So I tie Cleveland in all through the book.
Okay.
Real people, real places. Even though the stories are fictional.
Right.
But you're gonna know the.
You're gonna know the streets.
Yeah, the restaurants, the people. The real talent around here. So. I got that when I was reading urban fiction in the early 90s. Your Terry Woods and your, oh goodness, Gotta Be More Careful, and I can't even think, it's leaving my mind right now. Omar Tyree. See, that was Philadelphia, New York, LA, and we couldn't really relate to it
Right.
because we're not.
We're not from there.
So the lingo, the food they ate, the places, it didn't connect. So when I started writing, I said I definitely want to immerse Cleveland in the book. So when you're reading my books, you're coming through Cleveland.
Right. What is the biggest shout out to Mary Trivasamo for looking at on my Facebook? What is the biggest Cleveland slang word that's featured in all your books? Number, like top 5.
Slang word?
Yes. Go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, I probably got y'all in there. You know what? It's not a lot of slang, I don't think. You know what? I never thought about it. I never really thought about it. But it's definitely Polish boys and wings. That's Cleveland. Because you can't get that nowhere else. Go somewhere else and tell them you want a Polish boy. They're like, what are you talking about?
Right. You can't. All right, so we're going to go to break with Al B. Sure's Misunderstanding. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Black Love and the other books that he wrote on Headlines and Headaches on www.voiceofradio.com when we turn with my man, author Tito Bradley, after these words. Peace. Yeah, you got a lot of y'all, like Polish. You said Polish boys and fans, boy. I went to Kentucky one time. I was thoroughly disappointed.
Yeah. We went to Atlanta, asked for some wings, man. We was like,
never,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, so, all right, so we've been talking, and I'm curious. Now you got me curious. You said you were writing about the restaurants and stuff like that. What about, you've been on some shows, right? Like internet, all around. This is the first time you've been here, but stranger, because I seen you around doing what you're doing, and I'm, as a black man to another black man, to stay positive.
Thank you, sir.
You gonna talk about internet radio, black-owned media?
Yeah, I can get you in. It's not a problem.
Please do that. I want some name, I want to sign. I want to see that because
it's not a problem. You know what? In my writing process, whenever I'm moving and I'm doing things while I'm writing, it just happens. People I run into, people I'm dealing with. I say, you know what? I'm gonna put you in the book, and they say, oh, okay. So just because you just asked me, next time I write, it might happen like that.
Okay. I'm not. And I gotta say something. But sometimes you gotta say, closed mouths don't get fed. You're going like ask and be like, okay, yeah. So
yeah, it happened. Hey, believe me, more often than not, most of the people in the book just so happen like that. They didn't ask. I just so happened to be doing something, and actually, I was doing a book signing, and the young lady who it's called New Fitness. It's called Miles Road.
Yeah.
Right on the
New
corner.
Fitness, yeah.
I forgot her name. I can't remember her name. Anyway, she came over. She was so nice to me. It's the thing where I guess Philly Whedon and her had a big thing in Cleveland Heights Gym.
Yeah.
Some years ago. Mm-hmm. And I had a table, and she came over and said, "Do you need anything?" Da 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 da. And I said, "No." At the time, I was promoting reciprocation, and I hadn't even started writing Blue Euphoria yet, my erotic novel. So I said, you know what, I'm going to put you in my book. She said, oh, okay. Just like that. So the main character goes to her gym.
Oh, okay.
And I just worked her in there like that, just because how she dealt with me in that moment.
Being kind and nice.
Just being kind, right. So, that happens all the time, when I'm dealing with people, moving around the city. I like what you're doing. I put you in the book.
That's what's up. So, erotica, you have, and first of all, and I did not do this, and I apologize.
Okay.
Happy anniversary to you and your wife.
Yeah. We have 5 years married, June 10th, but we've been together 10 years.
So how is when you write something, do you let the wife look at it first? You look at it, take a sneak peek.
Every now and again, she read a couple things, but I talk about it. I talk about what I'm writing, and I run it past her. I say, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm thinking about doing this. So she hears the books in
As
a
they
variety,
okay.
but they in all type of the finished product may not be what I said.
Okay.
We may be in the car, so I think I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. No, well, I don't think I'm gonna do that. So she hears all of it.
Right.
She hears all of it. She read a couple chapters of stories. She don't really get into it like I do. We're like night and day with that. But she definitely hears the stories.
But you're writing it.
I'm writing it.
Right.
As I'm writing it, I like to verbalize it. Kind of like a freestyle out loud.
Right.
Yeah, something like that.
Some hip hop.
Yeah.
Do you bounce some ideas off of her, see what she says, or you just go with the flow?
In reciprocation, I got to keep shuffling through. I had a scene where I killed a lady, and an older lady who was in the kitchen cooking, singing Mahalia Jackson.
Okay.
And so I said, read this. So she took my laptop, she read it, she said, oh my God, that's horrible, that's too much. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, got it.
Right. And she the way she tore her face up, she's like, oh my God, that's horrible. Why would you do that? But it's a book about a serial killer. So
right.
What she thought was horrible was perfect.
Right.
Because
you're trying to get that reaction.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so she didn't know that. She was just like, oh my God.
Because the thing about it is like, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but Americans, like to be scared. So they like car crashes or something like that. So why do you think, Stephen King was a successful author? He wrote about every single thing. You don't want to go near cars, pet cemeteries, clowns, all that.
I listened to an interview with him before on YouTube. If you can look up Stephen King, what we get is watered down. This is what he said. He said, when he turned his book in, they send it back and say, you got to take this out, this out, this out, this out. He said, so you never get what he actually wrote.
Right.
They strip it down to make it palatable. Now, can you imagine, what was it? What did he have?
The original scripts?
For some of the movies, the story, some of the, he had.
It must have been really horrible.
Yeah, they were over the top.
Like
people nah.
Okay, you just can't have nobody walking around with a leg in their face. The leg in no, you got to take that out, bro.
Yeah, so he said, his stuff is tame. And in an interview, he was saying, I hope to one day be able to just be free and just, I'm like, geez.
You gotta think, you really want him around dinner parties for real? I'm like, nah, I don't even want Stephen King here. I'm leaving. I'm out.
Well, I'm glad he got an editor or whoever's taming him.
Right.
Because it could be mass hysteria.
It could be real bad. Now, like I said, we just had an incident about Pinecrest with the teenagers, and apparently, I don't know, they're the writing sometimes is a lost art to some people because they just social media and things of that nature, crazy statuses and all that. What do you think about the world today as far as, do we need more books written by African American authors? Because we got a couple of them.
Actually, there's a lot. There's a lot of because I'm in the business, so I meet a lot of African American authors, but we got to get them into the hands of African American people.
Right.
99.9% of my fan base are women.
Really?
Yeah. Those and very few of us men read books.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And now what I had to do initially I didn't want to do is go over to Kindle, which is your book's an electronic book because you lose control. Once you transfer something to an electronic file, it's there for anybody can copy it and take it. But the rest of the world is doing audio books where they're listening to it, or Kindle. They want to read it on their tablet or their phone.
Right.
So that it's definitely a big world out there that likes the written word in different forms. But as far as our people and our culture, it's not as it's not promoted as much. You got TikTok, you got YouTube, and all this. instant entertainment, whereas when we were younger, we didn't have that.
Right. So does promoting your book on social media help you or hurt you?
Absolutely, promote. It's the fastest way. It's the because everybody right now got their phone in their hand.
Right.
And I can
listening to this show.
You know what I mean? So I can send you a buy now link right to your phone, and I can jump in any book club. Hey, would you like to read a suspense thriller? And people say yes. I send them an Amazon link. It's a sale, instant.
Right.
To somebody I've never met, and Amazon is worldwide.
Right.
So
everybody buy. My mama is addicted to Amazon. I love my mama. I love you, mama, but you addicted to Amazon.
Yeah.
But how many are all your books being sold by Amazon?
All of them. Yeah.
Are they all transferred to audiobooks or Kindle?
The vote is not yet. It's being
because it's just
it's not released yet.
Okay.
But everything else is on Kindle, which means you can read it electronically or Audible.
Okay.
And iTunes.
iTunes.
Yeah.
So the vault.
The vault.
How much is it going to sell for? How much of your book? All right, let's get to the money part.
Get to the money.
Let's get to the money part. How much are your books selling for right now? Are they still online?
They're online right now on Amazon.
Okay.
Let's do it like this.
All right, let's line them up. Let's
Blue
go.
Euphoria.
Okay.
Reciprocation and the Vault are all $15.
15.
15. By Humbug is $15, but I only have one story in this book. It's an anthology with 7 authors.
Okay.
We Got Issues, my very first book, and Bait and Switch are both $10 each.
Okay, so they can just look them up on Amazon.
Yeah, you put my name in, Tito and Bradley, on the Amazon, and they'll pop up.
All right, so
or Google me.
Google me.
Yeah,
so they gotta find out. Pretty much, they can just search you, and it's like, does Amazon take a percentage?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it a good percentage? Because
well,
I mean, let me explain. Because artists have gone to Tidal or SoundCloud or things of that nature, or the streaming services, like So, and it's like some people feel like that the artist is getting robbed because of the percentages. Okay.
Yeah,
How do you?
It's the same across the board, but here's the thing: the trade-off is I get the reach and the access to anybody around the world.
So you don't mind?
Well, it's the trade-off.
Okay.
I mind.
Okay.
But I have people who bought my books in the UK. How else would I reach them?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? This book, actually, I Googled it randomly. I've self-published all my other books. This book was published by Conglomerate Inc., a young lady in Tennessee named Ranisha Pittman. She has a larger publishing company. This book is published in Sweden and Germany.
Okay.
So it's been translated. So the book is selling in other countries. How else would we do it?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So in order for me to do that, I would have to, have the book published in German and Swedish, and I would have to go there. You know
right, exactly. Like, you had to take the passport and go there, and because of the pandemic, couldn't do it.
But because because of Amazon,
right, you could.
I can hit the UK button and promote in the UK.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
So
it is it's a high percentage, but the trade-off is you get to reach a lot more people than you
get to reach a lot more people, and then when I do book signings, that's when you get your cut. When I order my books and you buy them directly from me, that's when you get your money.
All right. So who do you? So you do all the graphic arts and stuff for your books?
Well, I come up with the design, but Rob Frostbite.
Okay.
He actually puts bring my ideas to life.
All right, that's what's up. Shout out to Rob Frostbite. So this is the Gap Band outstanding on this last break. This is headlines and headaches on www.voiceofradio.com, sponsored by the Adams Board, Ohio City Barbecue, the Committee to Elect Joan Jones World One, and we'll be right back with my guest, author Tito and Bradley. We'll be right back. Peace.
That's my man, Joe Jones.
Huh?